I'm the astronomy group lead in the space operations division, and I combine astrophysics research with the development and operation of space missions. I'd originally been working in Japan for about 7 years on infrared space telescopes, and some of this work overlapped with the interests of RAL Space. And after my work on the Japanese space mission finished, I was offered a position to work on the next generation infrared telescope in Europe, and that's Herschel Space Observatory, where RAL Space was developing and operating one of the instruments. So that's how I got to RAL, and it's also good that I still maintain very strong links with the collaborators in Japan as well. Okay, so I should probably I'll start off with what I was working on. So as I said, I kicked off at RAL Space working on the Herschel Space Observatory, which is like a 7.5 ton cooled telescope the size of a London bus. Originally, and until James Webb was launched, it was the biggest telescope that had ever been launched into space. And on Herschel, I worked on both the science and also on the analysis software that produced all the nice maps that we made during the mission. So after the Herschel mission finished, I moved on to Ariel. So Ariel is another space mission. It's a much smaller telescope. It's going to be launched in 2028, 2029. And when launched, Ariel is going to characterize the atmospheres of around 1,000 exoplanets, so planets outside our own solar system. And on Ariel, I lead what we call the ground segment, and that involves preparing the environment that will eventually receive and process all the data when Ariel starts operating. And then most recently, at RAL Space, we don't only just do space missions, we also work on ground-based facilities as well. So in particular, most recently, I've been working on the Square Kilometre Array, or the SKA as we call it. So the SKA is an absolutely gigantic array of many radio telescopes built half in the deserts in South Africa and half in the desert in Australia, with the headquarters at Jodrell Bank in Manchester in the UK. So on SKA, I manage 2 of the software teams that are developing what we call the science data processor. And the science data processor is the software workhorse that will eventually process the vast amounts of data that the SK will produce once it becomes operational. So collaboration is really a central part of my job, and it's absolutely critical working in astronomy and for the development of space missions, because everything's so big these days. So I collaborate all the time with others across RAL Space in the different divisions, as well as my own, and also with other STFC sites. For example, ATC in Edinburgh for SKA. And I also collaborate all the time with partners internationally. Space is an international business now, and I regularly work with countries across the globe, from the US, Europe, Asia, India, Australia, South Africa. So it's really exciting. I mean, obviously the downside is that you end up having meetings from very early to very late because to match the time zones. I love the collaborative and positive culture at RAL Space. I'm always impressed by the strength of the teams and the collaboration within our teams, very much working together inside what I perceive as quite a strong no blame culture, which is very important in this type of work. I do like also having a foot in both the astronomy research side and also in the development of space projects. In addition, away from the normal side of the work I do, the other thing I like about RAL Space is we do a lot of public outreach, and I love the opportunities to convey my own enthusiasm in astronomy and space to others, whether it's the general public or to especially school children who, when we think about it, they'll be the next generation of scientists and engineers anyway. I could say things to myself like, you know, do a little bit of engineering or a little bit more software development to get a bit more experience, because that probably would have helped more with what I'm doing at RAL Space now. However, to be honest, my path has been pretty interesting anyway, because somewhat because I didn't necessarily know where it would take me. I mean, probably if I would have continued down a set track, I would have been doing research in the university. Instead, I was kind of randomly led to work in Japan. That was fortunate for me because I could get to work for a number of international space agencies, you know, met a huge variety of people and cultures. I've done astronomy, so I've written research papers in astrophysics, but also got to work on a bunch of future missions and also see them launch. So on balance, I probably wouldn't tell myself anything. I would just let the path take its own route.